Yeah, this is to everyone. Yeah, everyone that is for us and against us and everything. Welcome,
We
welcome, my
don't have
brothers
any
and
enemies,
sisters.
Mufti Saab, man. Everybody's for us, man.
Allah, Allah. And your
We're-
camera for some reason, Altaf. You've got two cameras. I don't know. You got two feeds coming in.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. We knew, you know,
Nazir, bro. He's in
we
two
knew your
places. Same
phone
time.
is hacked. There's actually two of you guys are watching us.
Not hacked.
Okay, so guys, so like we said, this podcast today, inshallah, we're gonna have a guest on. He's coming. He's on his way. So basically, he's specializes in marketing, and because of that new sort of scandal that happened with the Muslim Pro app, right, with the American military getting data of Muslims, whole thing that's brought into question now is the morality and the ethics behind so-called Muslim ventures, calling it a Muslim something, and then behind the scenes there's something which is not really Muslim going on. So we want to kind of speak to people who have experience in this field, and it kind of can overlap with some of the previous topics that we had as well, such as working in certain organizations where it doesn't seem to be very ethical to say. So apps is the new thing now. So Muslims are going to be coming out with a lot of. I mean, I don't know what you guys know about the future of Muslims in the software industry. But what it seems there's a very like a big demand for Muslims to have like the number of Quran apps that you can get, and the number of TV channels now, and internet channels, and all these different sort of like outlets that you have, which are kind of I don't know, advertising as being Islamic, but then at the same time might be associated with things that are not considered to be quite Islamic. Uh, so the brother that's going to come on, he actually he's one of our students as well, and he is into this kind of area of marketing, and sometimes marketing can be a something which is quite cutthroat. Yeah, the way that people, even sometimes Muslims, have to keep up with the status quo, try to keep up with the competition. There are certain things that are done which might be considered to be quite problematic. So we want to kind of like talk about this, discuss this, and if any of you guys as well have ever been in a situation where I've heard this. Have you heard this kind of before, where people will say, "I'd rather go to a non-Muslim shop than a Muslim shop." Yeah, I'd rather do business, get like hire. My tea's not opening. So I'd rather hire someone who's a non-Muslim rather than a Muslim, because experience has it that with Muslims sometimes they cut corners and they kind of expect from you. I don't know. What's your experience with that?
Yeah, it's a bit of nonsense, isn't it, to be honest, Mufti Saab? Um, I think what happens is that people believe that, but then at the same time, when it comes to paying people, like when it comes to a
Yeah,
Muslim guy, or somebody from their own kind of culture or race,
yeah.
it might be say they might charge a couple of £1,000 might be the bill, but
Mm,
even after they did after you agreed a price with them, when it comes to paying, people will still haggle with them. So I think
mm,
it's not just the standards we expect, it's the custom that we deliver as well. And so when somebody charges so design is a good place to start in it with marketing. So a designer might take 10 minutes to design something, and he might say my charge is X, Y, and Z. So the person paying him will say, but it only took you 10 minutes.
mm.
It might have taken them 5 years to learn the skill so that it takes them 10 minutes, but people only want to pay him for the 10 minutes now. And even that, they want to pay a minimum wage.
Yeah. So
So
you're saying, it's more of the customers sort
it's
of
a bit of
like.
both in it. I think it's a bit of both. It's you pay what you pay for what you get, and if you treat
Mm,
people in a certain way, then you're going to get a certain standard.
mm, yeah, I guess so. But I mean, now with, from what I'm seeing slowly is that a lot of Muslims are starting to sort of become more professional in the way that they're conducting themselves.
I think they've
Um,
always been professional, Mufti Saab. I don't think there's ever been
mm,
a case where they've not been professional. I think it's just a case of you're seeing more of it. The ones that
mm,
were professional before, they just didn't deal with customers that messed them around. Like you got to
okay.
build your customer base up and then move on to different places. I think that's always existed. Like we've had accountants and people that do work in other spheres and not deal with certain smaller clients, be they Muslim or non-Muslim or just Asian, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. That's just my thoughts anyway, man.
Yeah. I have had some bad experience with certain types of individuals in the past. But yeah, it could be simply because our experience is more with Asians or with Muslims, and clearly we are going to have more problems with that. And if we had exposure to other communities, maybe we'd have the same number of problems. It's just we don't have exposure to that. Fair play. But one of the issues is that like when you have like a Muslim sort of like company which is promoting itself on the back of Islam, yeah, with an Islamic name or Islamic, I don't know, Naveed, and then you get this kind of like Sunnah something. The guy calls himself Sunnah something, and then when you deal with him, it's like you don't see the Sunnah in the way it's. I don't know
No,
if you're saying
definitely, I
that,
agree
Nav.
with that.
You're smiling, Nav, as though you've you sort of like won the lottery. I can't hear you. Can't hear, bro.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear.
It's just that feeling when you know people specifically by name and you're just looking at. I'm looking at Altaf, wondering if he's thinking about the same person. That's all I was doing.
So come on, let me in the joke then.
No, no, no.
So,
Altaf,
actually, I've been I con loads of these guys in the Musab. Like over the last few years, you get contacted by them. Some of them mix up ACN, and then some of them say you can work better if you don't work full time, and you will do a mastery class with you or something like that. Get rich quick schemes in it, and
Mm,
they contact you, and then they play this whole. They can What they do is that they put their own switch on something, and it's very difficult to argue from them because superficially it makes so much sense.
mm,
They're like, "You brother, all you need to do is pray the Hajjaj. You give up your day job, and what you need to do is focus on your online business." And
mm.
what they show you is they show you receipts of people making income. So they show you
Okay.
revenue receipts. They show, look how much revenue is generating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And there's an old business saying, and revenue is vanity, profits is sanity. And what these guys will
yeah.
show you is that they'll show you high revenue rates. They'll be making hundreds of thousands of pounds. But like from every 100 grand they make, they're probably making like 20 pence.
Okay. So
So their
is it a
margin is
Ponzi
so
scheme?
thin.
Are you talking specifically about Ponzi scheme?
No, 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 Musab. This is like online businesses where they promote you. They say what you do, you find a product, you find a niche, and then what you do is you market your product to that niche, and it's drop shipping taking place from somewhere else. And
Oh.
basically, you get involved in that kind of a business. And I don't know, man.
So it's
I
not.
don't.
It's okay. So this wouldn't necessarily be something which was Muslim per se. It's just general
No, no, no. It's
tech
Muslim per se. Mufti Sahib. They brand it as. What was that? What was the one that was a scam that came out? That was a Ponzi. That was like a Ponzi
ACN
scheme. No, no, no. There was a Muslim one.
one. Is that
What was that
one?
guy's name? Something Con. His name was Con actually. Which is some
That gave you
irony there.
away. That gave you away, bro.
He was based in Dubai or something, and recently, like the law caught up with him, unfortunately. And his name was Con Mirza. It was actually a news article, so this is actually a case that's actually taken place. Um, so that was one, and what they would do is that they'd frame it on Muslim entrepreneurs and all that.
Mm,
Was it entrepreneurial? No, there was an entrepreneurial Muslim. That's some other guy. Some entrepreneurs Muslim guide or whatever, and they really base it on your religion.
okay.
Everything is based on your religion. Like,
If you think about it, you're a good marketeer, yeah. You
oh,
know that these
yeah,
kind of things are gonna work very well with Muslims.
Musketeer.
You can quickly sort of like fish Muslims and hook and bait and all of that. You can bait them in with a lot of
yeah,
these kind
because
of like Islamic terms. So I think what you said earlier on, it kind of makes sense because a lot of Muslims can be a bit naive when you use the term Sunnah. And let's say you're selling like perfumes and you say these are Sunnah perfumes or Sunnah honey. It's like, why is Sunnah honey? Honey's honey. You know what I'm saying? If Azada started to have an aisle which said Sunnah products, I guarantee you there'll be loads of people there. And this might be a good Azada if you're watching and you want to sponsor us, yeah? Then so I think here it's where I think there's a kind of like a two-way problem. you have a problem with people who wanna kind of like profit from the term sunnah, and you have people who are so naive in the public who easily kind of like fall for this term sunnah being used in business and marketing. And I think that's the unfortunate thing where, you know, a lot of these kind of individuals, it's like they use these certain sort of tactics. Maybe the beard, they might use the beard as a way of kind of building confidence, or the scarf, or
A good kha, a letter kha, a good letter ain, and akh, and you can, you know, you're right, man. You know Arabic? Yani a few times.
let me tell you something that happened once. Yeah, me and Mufti Imran, we were in Sakib's, yeah, and this guy came, yeah, and he was like a reaver, and like a Jamaican reaver, and he comes to us, he goes to me, "Assalamu alaikum, bro. You want to buy otter? You want to buy otter?" And
You want to buy
I
an
honestly
otter?
didn't understand what you were saying. I thought you were saying like otter skin, like some otter skin sort of like thing. Like I thought that was like the new trendy Islamic kind of thing in them days. Otter skin socks. Like you heard about seal skin socks. I used to think seal skin socks meant that they were made from those animal seals.
Oh, it's too funny.
So it's like otter. And I was like, otter. Like, I said, excuse me, brother, I don't understand. What are you selling? He goes, you know, perfume. Otter. Yeah. So we got kind of talking, and he's kind of telling us about his life story and these kinds of. But it kind of like made me think that it's like you're selling these perfumes. They've got nothing to do with Islam. Like these small perfumes, you know, those kind of like little ones, £1 ones, £2 ones. They've got nothing at all to do with Islam. I mean, if it had something to do with Islam, Boots has the biggest range of, you know, Islamic perfumes out there. So it's like the idea is the guy is going to Muslims selling these perfumes, thinking that this is the market for him. Yeah, so he's kind of like created, like Muslims have created this kind of fantasy market, you can say, where they're selling things, making people believe that it's Islamic to buy these kind of things, and because for a small amount, you're not really going to think twice. You probably just end up buying it anyway, and you probably give it to someone thinking that, you know, this is rewarding too. So I don't know, these kind of like small little things, people online as well on the internet, on Facebook, they'll be selling these kind of things. The only problem that I have with this, the only thing that I feel is, I feel that sometimes people are being disingenuine. Yeah, they're not really kind of like really representing what the deen is about. It's more about this idea of, you know what, I just want to make money. And if it coincides with me using Islamic terms and me kind of using these kind of things, you know, there was like these kind of Islamic wudu. The wudu, I don't know if you know about the wudu thing, the wudu machine they made in Australia. This is like about 15 years ago. And it was like, you think to yourself, but come on, man, why do people need this? Like, what has this got to do with Islam? How does this make wudu
Which one was that one,
convenient?
Mufti Sahib? The one in Australia?
It was like you put your face in there. It's like a vending machine. Yeah, you put your face in for washing your face. You put your arms in for washing your arms, and you put your feet in. It had these kind of 5 slots.
Okay.
And it was just like so awkward because you're thinking to yourself, like, but is Islam encouraging a person to actually end up doing their wudu like this? Like, does it really take that much time to simply just roll up your sleeves and put it under the tap and wash your limb?
So
I don't know,
I've been watching this. I've been watching this program with something. I don't think it's just a Muslim issue, to be fair. I was watching this this YouTube program about food, and because I've been like trying to refine my own food stuff. So there's these guys. They're 5 guys. I think it's called Sorted Food or something like that. If anybody's searching it on YouTube, and what they do is they review products and gizmos and that have come out, the new fads in the kitchen or whatever else, right, Mufsab? And these guys are proper realists as well at the same time. So they look at it and they try test it and stuff like that. And there's loads of these things, Mufsab. They're like the most pointless things in the world that exist, right? That people have created. One was an egg timer. And the guy goes, basically, you don't even put it in the water. You keep it on the side. So they go, why not just look at the clock? Just time it 7 minutes on the clock. Why do you have to have like a special £35 gizmo that tells you all of this nonsense?
Yeah.
So I think we live in that era where everybody's trying to find comfort and ease and trying to make everything comfortable and easy, even when it's not required. But when you go to like Kickstarter pages and Indiegogo pages and stuff, you see a lot of products on there. There's some of them that are really useful, and there's some of them you look at that they're not useful, but they still raise insane amount of money. Because we live in that time where everybody wants something different, everybody wants to be leading edge, Everybody wants to be able to show something completely new, even if it's not helpful or useful.
Yeah.
So I think the Muslims,
MashaAllah, Bima, Jazakallah khair for your wa alaikum assalam. Bima's always supporting us. Alhamdulillah,
mashallah.
alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair. Yeah, you're the man. Bima actually has got his own channel, and the guy, he tests food. Yeah, and he ate a blue burger. First time I ever seen a blue burger. Now,
What? Now, why would you have a blue burger?
gimmick. You need to start that stuff. Blue steaks.
Benefit?
Blue steaks.
It tastes like chewing gum.
I can't sell blue steaks, but I might get arrested for giving somebody food poisoning. But to be honest, if you left a steak in the fridge in a proper condition, a proper way, the older the steak gets, the more valuable it is.
Does it become blue?
It takes on colors.
Allah.
I might dry age some and do an experiment on the
You know
podcast
this
and show
kind
you
of
every week.
21 day drying it out.
Dry aged.
Is that 21 fixed?
No, you can go up to, I think they normally say after 28 days you're not gonna get the changes aren't that dramatic, and then they say after 60 days it's pointless. So what they do is that they leave it in a fridge, dry aging in a fridge. So it's normally just hung in a fridge, and the meat decays from the outside, and then you cut it, and then you have nice meat in the middle.
Okay. Yeah.
So it goes all black, and all the bacteria grows on it, but you cut it down. And I'm gonna experiment in my fridge. I haven't told my wife yet, but
You know what's crazy? You just mess around with temperatures and how you keep the meat here, and that affects the taste so much. Whereas normally you'd alter the taste of what you're eating by adding, bits and bobs when you're cooking. But this is even before eating. Look how much process it goes through on it.
yeah. They say Rahil saying optimum is 40 days. Maybe it's 40 days. I said, but from I think Miller and Carter, who are based in London, who do dry aging, I think they were on some steak video saying it's like 28 days, but whatever. I think Musab is just that the point that you're saying about the Muslim marketing and marketing specifically for the Muslim audience. I think people are realizing that there is a market there, and so this is the first wave of products and organizations that we'll see coming through. And so in this stage, you'll see a lot of companies and things setting up. And in the next 10, 15, 20 years, some of these will stay and become established, and some of them will just fall by the wayside. Because I think this is like the first time the Muslim community in the UK, definitely at this number, has had this much disposable income. I think before we were kind of like really in that survival mode where, the only really important thing to us was halal meat.
Okay, I got a question for you two then.
Sorry.
Okay,
I have to address this one comment. The brother said, I was attempting to be funny. Only steaks I eat are from taros. Brother, they're not steaks. That's pigeon meat. Next question, Mufti Sahib.
Allah. Rahil, bro. Yeah, you got blasted there, man. Yeah, okay, I got a question for you two, yeah. Let's say, for example, you wanted to profit as much as you could from a Muslim. Like, put your sort of like honesty and put all of your sort of religiosity to one side. You want to profit from the Muslims the most. What would you sell them?
Charity.
No, you sell them as in sell in the sense that they're getting something in return in this dunya.
Charity.
Ruthless guy.
I'll tap your cameras from my screen. Your camera's frozen. Is it frozen yours on?
Is it frozen still, Musab?
Yeah, it's frozen.
Is it still frozen?
You hideous nigger.
Charity don't like you, bro. Charity don't like you.
I didn't say all charities are like that.
Oh, you cut him off.
That's it, bro. That's what happens. We cut people off on this podcast. Anyone who says anything against charities, we cut them off, my brother.
I think if you were going to start something disingenuous, because the Muslim community are so giving, that's
and
why
people
I said that.
take advantage of the what's it called, gullibility. If that is
So
such
come
a
on,
word.
you haven't answered my question properly. Come on, like something like physical, tangible that you can sell them.
I want to make
that
them
recent kind of like tweet going around where what's got nothing to do with Islam, but it seems very Islamic. Like, you know, you just gotta like put it in the comments. Well, what's got nothing to do with Islam,
Yeah,
but everyone thinks it's Islamic.
folding your musalla.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah,
Folding the musalla so shaitan can't pray. That's what we've been doing wrong all this time. If we had
That's
just
it,
left
bro.
it, you know,
Would have
we'd
been
have
in a
been a
better
different world.
position now.
Yeah, Rahil saying Jubba.
Some... I just read the other comment.
Sell the grasshoppers. Marry your cousins.
Cousins.
Right, guys. Anyone who has married their cousins, don't worry. Yeah, we will get rid of the Majid and we will get rid of Rahid as well. Just for barakah, yeah? We'll get rid of these two guys. So yeah. So and then Nav, what do you think is nothing to do with Islam, but it just seems very Islamic? Bidah.
I've seen so many funny actions that people think that are somewhat Islamic.
So come on.
I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of a product.
That's what I'm trying to think of. Something physical you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't know. I was gonna be controversial and say HMC, but then I might get kicked off this podcast.
You're feeling very controversial today.
Oh yeah.
Too much steaks for you, man.
Altaf
please,
needs to sell his steaks, man.
Altaf's wife, if you're watching,
saying HMC
please get this guy away from the steaks. Yeah, yeah. You know what's that? What do they say? Don't get high on your own. What do they
Own
say?
supply.
Assalamu alaikum, mashallah. We've got Brother Ali joining us, and Brother Ali, mashallah, is going to be discussing with us today about the topic. He knows more about this topic than me, definitely, 100%. So Ali, mashallah, did you get home well?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah. We broke the 3 minutes, but we got there. No,
Alhamdulillah. So tell us a bit about yourself, Ali.
I'm a 28.
Tell us, who do you support? What football team do you support?
Aston Villa. You know, it's got to be a local.
Aston Villa. Oh, come on, man. What's this one? Altaf legged it.
He's like, forget this, brother. I'm out.
That's it, man.
I'm an Arsenal fan. That's why I ran.
Really?
Yeah.
Game out of Birmingham, guys. What are you playing him here for?
That's it, man. That's it.
Do you know what made me an Arsenal fan?
Go on.
We're losing all the time.
Watching Villa for a year.
MashaAllah. So yeah, so Ali, tell us a bit about your background. What's your kind of what's your thing, man?
So yeah, I mean, I studied product design at Aston Uni, like a product designer. So I would design like consumer products, so headphones, earphones, watches, that kind of stuff. From there, I set up my own thing for.
So when you say design, when you say design, do you mean as in the sketches, designing the shapes and all the...
Yeah, like the full work. So sometimes it would be very background kind of stuff. So you would sort of just be like research, target user, research a particular market, to target for the future. And then other times it would be, we have a target that we want to, we have a demographic we want to target, design something around, for them. So.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so.
Yeah, this wallpaper is did
you design that?
No, I didn't
design that. Yeah. Okay. So interesting. So so like now, what do you do now? What's your?
Okay, so now I run my own thing, mostly on tiles and surfaces. So
you actually design the tile, or do you get pre-designed tiles and you provide them?
It's half and half, really. at the end of it, I'm not going to say no to a sale. A lot of it is distributing. Like,
Sorry, I was coughing genuinely. I wasn't laughing at all.
Yeah, we know Altaf, we know, bro. Preemptive. That's a preemptive cough there. Go
on. Yeah, so at the moment I'm distributing quite a few brands from other countries in the UK and in Europe. So I'm offering their selection, but then some designers or some architects or some clients want their own designs, so I'll help them out with that.
So you specialize only in like bathroom things and kitchen things?
Yeah, at the moment, yes. So like mostly surfaces. Mostly, if you can think of anything to do with surfaces now. So now we're doing like hand painted wallpapers.
Hand painted.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is.
How much is it?
It starts at about like £300 per square meter.
Wow. 300.
Kids to
So you
scribble
know that
on the
wallpaper behind you?
No, not this time. Not this time.
Just get your kids to scribble a wallpaper at home. Hand painted wallpaper.
So, okay, so let's say you got your average room there. You got your room there, yeah? How much would it cost to cover the entire room? I guess they don't cover the entire room. It's just like one wall or something they do.
No. These guys, cover the entire rooms. So like, so a competitor would be like Dagorni, and their client would spend from £5,000 to about £25,000 for like the wallpaper on the room. So these guys these guys are something different, to be honest. I mean, I've done projects where we're from Aston. I've done projects where where I'll get something like guys, this is wrong. 2-3 years later, after we've done the project, and it's like, how have you only noticed it now? And it's like the client's only just walked into the house like 2-3 years later, after like paying for it. So these are more like show homes than real real homes. They just buy them to like do stuff.
Seem like show people as well.
Yeah, they're show people. They're show people.
Jeez. I mean, yeah. Sometimes you think about this. It's like, as a Muslim, you kind of like in your mind, you're struggling with this idea of how much is overpaying.
Yeah.
Then when you hear about these kind of cases, for them that's normal. Like it seemed like a normal thing for them to choose.
It's a different market altogether. Like I was at a trade show about literally just a year and a month ago now. It was in October time, and the clients would walk around with their own interior designer, and the client wouldn't speak to you directly. They would speak to their interior designer, who would speak to you, who you would speak back to the interior designer, who would then speak to the client. So they would literally not and for them the whole thing now of an example would be for
the sound. Sorry.
So go on.
Something happened to the sound.
Nice.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Everything okay? Do you want me to lip like this?
Mufti Saab's gone. He found out about the cost of the wallpaper. He's like, what the heck am I doing on this podcast?
Look at this.
He's I went to B&Q, also £6 a roll, man. So, you know what I mean? Man's talking £300 per square meter.
Bro, like it's
Alhamdulillah. Horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for these clients, like the fact that for them to have their own interior designer is basically for them saying, we own lots of homes and we need lots of, we need people to design these homes for us. So it's just a way to he's making sure his wife doesn't hear it. That's
just our regular troll.
Yeah, exactly.
Abdul Majid makes sense here. So bro, Mufti Saab was saying that you were like the guy to speak to when it comes to marketing, man.
A little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the guy to speak to.
Look, if you can sell £300 wallpapers, you're definitely the guy to speak to. Not even wallpapers, a square meter. Do you know what I mean? It's not even a roll. It's not even one piece.
You know,
talking about half a piece.
You know that whole thing of like, if you've got to ask, like it's too much. Like sometimes I'll get emails and I'll be like, if you're asking the price before you're asking the lead time, like I already know where this is going.
So you know what? If I buy one of those rolls and I just buy 1 square meter, and because it's so expensive, what I do is I just picture frame it with normal
People do
standard
that, you know?
wallpaper.
People do that. People do that. They actually frame it up and everything. You know, it's actually mad. Like or a scribble.
Modern art, brother. Modern art. It's not a
Yeah.
scribble.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's whatever you can sell. I mean, if people are selling bottled up oxygen to like, you know, to people in China.
What's this up? What's up? Check this out today. Actually, I'll show you something that was hilarious. See if I can get it coming up. So I got a PS5 today.
You got a PS5?
You know, but one of those kids that waits there in September waiting for a PS5. So somebody said to me, Mufti Saab, that I can sell my PS5 for a lot of money. So this is my advert on Spock, where all the middle class folk are. And it says on my advert, delivered today by Amazon. I saw how much they were going for on here and I thought I might as well cash in. I'm in no rush for a PS5. That was my advert.
Did he get any kids?
That's my offer.
Whoa. Mad.
50.
That's mad days. But I mean, there might be people out there. There might be some crazy guy out there who probably says, "Yeah,
1,500 quid.
100%.
1,500 pounds for a PS5.
Okay, so look, I need to ask Ali a very serious question. You know this painted wallpaper, yeah?
You know, Mufti Saab's question
Where-
was, you know the TV you can see behind me? You know that gap in between? How much £300 wallpaper would fit into that gap?
It's like, you know, like it's like if someone comes to your house and you go, guys, can you please not touch the wallpaper? And then you got to start your whole story about the wallpaper. And
It's
like,
£20 a look. It's £20 a look. It's £20 a look.
yeah. Car costs like £500 car outside. Wallpaper inside the room is like £5,000 wallpaper, bro.
You know those people who are like, they break into the house and they'll trash the house looking for the jewelry and whatnot. These guys are coming with a scraper just to scrape the wallpaper.
I know, it's like, yeah, be careful, bro. So okay, so interesting. So let's say, for example, let's move it on to kind of like so your kind of like area, you only deal with like a certain class of clientele.
Yeah. So I mean, it's quite interesting, really. I mean, the way these clients, the amount of hands that these clients go through is really interesting, to be fair. So like, you'll have the first client, they'll buy a property, and then they'll get, you know, some architects or contractors on board. They'll write up saying that here's the spec, we're gonna you know, do this and this, you know, to this place. They'll get an interior design on board, like a studio, and then that's where the studios basically start looking, you know, for all of us, kind of thing. So for us, if we can get, so the studios have a lot of power. Like, if we can get our name on a little piece of paper that the studios are going to write, then quite literally the studio will give it to a contractor, and the contractors will have almost like a bottomless pit of, you know, bank account, and you basically put a figure on it, and then they'll have to buy it from you. because the designers have specified it. They cannot go against the designers. Like, so once the designers have, you know, put it on that piece of paper, that's it. There's no two ways about it, kind of thing. Like, it's almost like it's written in stone. Like, they do have to get that.
Okay, so okay, you tell me, what's the difference between, like, let's say for example, like someone wants to start up a business today with a normal like clientele, like average Joe like us, right? What would be the main differences that you'd see between your clientele and between the average?
I mean, in terms of clientele, it will mainly be an economical, you know, factor, and then how that's how they, finding the product. So for me, they would be finding the product through, architects and interior designers mainly. For an average Joe, they wouldn't be, it wouldn't be, it'd be fingerprint locked. It wouldn't be through, a third party. It wouldn't be through another business. So they might look for it through social media. They might look for it through a lot more like, self website finding and whatnot. But it's very dependent on the product itself. And
so if someone came to you, for example, like someone from our kind of class came to you and wanted to buy something off you, would you find it difficult to sell that product to them?
It's quite strange. I mean, it depends. It depends on thing. There's always something that, regardless how much money you have, you always hold something at such value. It's almost like there's no money that's too much money for this one thing. It's like a man can be living in
Altaf steaks.
yeah. It's like for us, it's like you see it a lot with like Asian boys and their cars kind of thing. It's like, bro, you can live in the worst house possible, but you will have to drive the nicest car. Like the wheels.
You're listening, guys. You're listening, yeah? Everyone listening, yeah?
The wheels on that car will cost probably as much as a deposit on a house, but you will get those wheels for the car. It's like a value thing almost. It's for that sort of, and if you can find that,
is that something that you kind of like you target?
Yeah, if you can find that desirability part, like if you can find something that they really, really want, and it's almost like cost isn't a part of it kind of thing. Then once you've tapped into that desirability, you've hit a very golden point. Basically, you've hit that golden part. Like you see it a lot with women and jewelry. They can't afford the jewelry straight up. Well, they will literally be posting on their social medias like, I can't wait. Next year, I'm gonna save all this money up. I'm gonna spend it on one ring that costs £5,000 or something. But they're gonna do it, and they do it. They end up doing it. So like, you'd be amazed. Like, there's a book called Hidden in Plain Sight. It's a really interesting book by a guy called Jan Chipchase. He basically, he's an ethnographic researcher. He basically goes around, or he got paid to go around and shadow people, basically find out, what they do and where they go. And Dunyawi people, yeah, that's true, they are. They are. So this guy, he basically, he used to work for Nokia back in the early 2000s. So Nokia basically said to him, Jan, we want to introduce online banking to people, but we don't know, how to do it. So what he would do is he would go to the lower developed, countries, see how they're doing it there, and then bring it over, to a higher developed, country. And what he saw was he went to Uganda, and he basically saw that Uganda was a thriving, city. Sorry, guys, it's going to be a little bit. I'll keep it brief. 2 more minutes. Yeah. So Uganda was a thriving.
Don't worry, bro. We're not going like this just yet.
So Uganda was a thriving city. So basically, the men would go out from their villages and go into the city, to work. So the men basically had a problem of how do they get the money back to their families, in the village. So there was 2 or 3 ways they were basically doing it. They were giving it to the bus driver, and they were saying, my wife lives at this village. Like, I'm going to give you this money. Give it to my wife at, this village. The second way they were doing it was they would go into the banks, and then the wife would pay for it. They would phone the wife. The wife would pay for a taxi from the village to the closest bank, and get the money. But then the banks popped onto it and started realizing, actually, no, like, we're not going to, let you start putting small amounts of money in. You got to, put a minimum figure on it. So the third way, a random guy, very randomly, he did it, was he basically had this money and he thought, how do I get this money back home to my family? And what they had at the time was, Nokia. Like Nokia basically had, the airtime credit. So like you'd go to the shops, you would buy £10 of credit with a code. You would put it, on your phone. So in Uganda at the time, like to grow, the economy, what they did was in every village they would have one guy who was the mobile phone operator. So basically, they gave him a phone. Anybody in the village who wants to, call their family or whatnot, they would go to this guy, pay him a fee, use the airtime credit on the phone, and then like it would be a small business, for this guy. Like he would lend his phone out and get paid for it. So this one random guy in the city asked himself, I've got this money. Let me go to the marketplace. Let me buy the airtime voucher codes. Let me phone my operator back in like my village. Tell him to put the code in and then take a small amount and give the rest, to my wife in, money. And then all of a sudden he had virtual money, traveling all over the place.
Whoa.
So this guy, he took that concept and he brought it to the UK, or he brought it, to the West. And he was like, guys, this is mobile banking right here. Like this is, something they're already doing. So they fine tune it and things. But to that little thing there, that one random guy, invented, was so valuable to the rest of the world. So valuable to the rest of the world. But he just didn't click onto the idea. He didn't click that this is, this is £1 billion idea that I'm, like developing right now, kind of thing. Because he didn't have the desirability for it. He didn't realize that, this is a problem that everybody, has. It's just, I've got this problem. How do I solve it?
Necessity is the mother of all invention.
Exactly. So necessity is like the mother of, innovation. So that's why they end up going to, these smaller, countries where where necessity is a problem. Like it is a real necessity kind of thing. And that's where, they become innovative. We don't have many resources, but with the resources we do have, how can we do what we need to do with it, kind of thing. And then from there, it's a desirability thing. He sees the desirability of it. He gives it to somebody where actually there's a lot of value in that. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, sorry guys. I mean,
No, I think kind of like those kind of things, right? Really are things that stand out. And I think like when you look at necessity and you look at kind of like the Muslim app that was created, the prayer app, and
there we go. Carry on. Sorry.
There we go. We brought it all around. Nav, we brought it all around.
Okay, basically, before we go on to the prayer app here, I've got a question here. The question is this here, Ali. How would you? This is a question I asked these guys. How would you, like, if you were to be very sort of cutthroat and very un-Islamically ethical? How would you tap into the Muslim community?
Islamically ethical or not Islamically?
Non-Islamic ethical.
No.
Okay, so do it this way then: Islamically ethical, non-Islamic ethical.
I mean, how would you? It depends. What are we doing in the Islamic community? What am I trying to tap into? What am I trying to get them
making
to do?
money from them?
One is you're trying to make money, and one is you're not trying to make money.
Okay, I get you. Yeah, I mean, you've got the majority of people now. They're just unfortunately, it's an identity thing. It's not actually a religion thing. It's as much as an identity thing as anything else. So it is its own brand. I mean, you see like the brands like 5 Pillars and whatnot. They're like very big, clothing brands that they're really like halal mortgages. Halal mortgages down. Now, honestly, I mean, if you wanted to tap into the majority of the Muslims, unfortunately, you've got to ask yourself, like, are the majority of the Muslims really bothered about halal and haram mortgages? Are they really bothered about, halal marriages and non-halal marriages? Like, the unfortunate, part of it is most likely not. Like, the majority of the Muslims that are, aren't really going to the Jummah and aren't really going to the masjids 5 times a day, and etc. kind of thing. So like, if you want to go into, if you want to target the mass, it's almost those guys who are born with, a Muslim name, but everything else, is it not kind of thing. So then it's an identity thing. Like those guys, they will buy into the identity more than anything because they're not doing any practices to show that or to prove to themselves that, no, I'm a Muslim. It's like, so the brand on their piece of clothes has to tell them that, no, guys, I'm a Muslim. Like, look, like, the brand, the tattoo on my neck shows that I'm Muslim, guys. So clearly I'm Muslim. Like you know what I mean, kind of thing. So like, you need to be a setting of the brand that literally is identifiable to be, Muslim, and then they wear that brand so highly on themselves.
Nav, sorry, Ali. Nav, what do you want to say?
I was gonna say anything is better than them tops that says I'm with her, or the other ones that say that he's mine.
He's with me,
and they're walking together. Anything is better than that, bro. Well, carry on. Sorry.
Cringy. That's like like you can tell they're not married, or they just got married.
Like I don't know why you need to show that. Like I'm with. Okay, we worked it out. Thanks, but Jazakallah khair. Like for clearing up any like misconception I might have had.
But it's a problem if you wear that jumper and you walk around with like your brother or your sister.
Or you got the wrong one on, or in the morning you were getting late for work and you just put the wrong one on.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So you're saying basically from your own sort of like observations, you've seen that an easy way to tap into the Muslim market is to sell them things which are not really kind of something intrinsic to their faith. It's more of an identity.
The thing is, the thing is, like, like shisha markets have like smashed it. Like, I mean, they're rising like, by the day kind of thing. And the reason they're rising is because Muslims, like name Muslims, they know that alcohol, bars, etc., complete cut off kind of thing. So it's like, how can we get as close to that as possible, but then stay within, the halal route kind of thing. So then they'll make this sub market of, we've got lounges where we just and it's literally like, actually they're the halal, version. It's like, there's nothing halal about it. But they make their own, sub market it to be like, yeah, actually, what kind of, and sooner or later, like you'll see it with, loads of things. You'll see it with festivals and concerts and like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean, kind of thing. Like you'll just see it, like anything that they want to do that, but they need that eligibility, like that legibility of no, this isn't haram, but we're gonna make it in a halal way, kind of. And
so is it like commercial?
I got a question.
Commercializing certain like Islamic or Muslim country sort of like cultural practices.
What about
stuff
like
really Islamic? It's more of like a found in the Middle East.
Yeah. What about stuff like Muslim comedians?
Yeah, that too.
Like, he's just a funny guy. Happens to be Muslim, but like when the whole moniker comes around, oh, he's a Muslim comedian, and then you as Muslims will potentially watch or gear up that, or Muslim comedy night.
Yeah, I
think, and these entertainment events.
Like Muslim MMA fighter. Muslim MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And like gyms will like capitalize on that, and gyms will like kind of like promote their own sort of like a gym by maybe having posters of this individual as he's a
who's
Muslim.
Jim Mufti Sab?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, bro. Yeah, not pointing at anyone out here or in here or whatever.
Who's Jim?
Who's Jim? I don't know. Jane. Jim. Jane. It could be anyone.
Hold off.
Sorry,
You
no.
confuse me, bro. You
I
confuse
want to ask you, bro. You've done a bit of marketing.
God.
What would you sell this as in English?
Dreamcatcher.
You know what it is? You rest chapatis on it.
Dreamcatcher, innit? I dream of chapatis.
Dreamcatcher.
Yeah.
If you were to put this on Amazon or eBay or something, what would you call it in English?
No, wait. Ali, if you had to sell those to those guys with their interior designers that walk around them, how much would you sell that for?
Traditional.
Legit, I've seen something, very similar to that, and like they literally like pin it onto the wall, And I couldn't believe, like I remember speaking with the person. I was like, "How much is this selling for?" And she was like, £500-600, like, for this. And I looked at her and was like, "Have you sold any?" And she was like, "No, like, I haven't
No
sold."
wonder.
And I'm thinking, no, I can't be. And honestly, like, this was at a trade show, like per square meter, to be at that trade show was like £400, like for the.
Bro, I've got some stuff if you want to sell for me. I don't mind. I've got loads of these items. Make me rich, bro. Phone me,
He's just
take my
walking
number.
around Cammy's house selling stuff.
I've got loads of ancient artifacts for you, bro. You can sell it to some guy. Say he's made out of dinosaur bones.
Dinosaur bones.
They won't even check it. I'll literally. It's gotta be legit. It's gotta be legit. It's on.
Say customer, and that's it. That's your certification.
Okay, so all right, so let's look at this one, the big issue now with the recent sort of like app that came out. I'm not too sure exactly all the the honest background of what exactly happened, but apparently there's this app organization or a company called the Muslim Pro app, and it's used for azans and times of salat and recitation of Quran, and the normal sort of like what you'd associate with an average Muslim app. So apparently what they've been doing is selling the Muslim data of where locations of Muslims to American Army. Now, again, I mean, from your own experience, how sort of common is that the apps would sell the data to willing parties out there?
Hugely. Like, that's where basically most apps will make their money. Like, data is worth so much money. It's unbelievable. Like, and the thing is, if you want to carry on using free apps, they gotta be making money from somewhere. Like,
So do you know any figures? Like, what are we actually looking at? What is each person worth?
See, that's the thing. Like, if you how much is information on a person who's a person who's 8 months pregnant to a drink company, literally zero kind of thing. But how much is that same information worth to a baby product company? Ridiculous amounts of money, because for them it's like, that's it, that's our prime
data is king. Data is king, bro. It's the most valuable asset at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So if you find the right person, like, to sell that data to,
So how does this work then? Do you kind of like, do you have to, is there a market out there where you have to say that you've got this data? Are there agencies? How does it work? How do people find out who's got data?
That's a thing. I mean, you've got, who is it? You've got some quite big companies, like data collectors who will buy data from them, and their business is literally, we just take data. We take data and we just collect it all together.
GDPR compliant data, bro, basically, isn't it?
Say that again, sorry?
It has to be GDPR compliant now, doesn't it?
Yeah, nowadays it has to be GDPR compliant. But I mean, there's so many ways to get around this kind of stuff.
Would you give up all your morals to sell steak?
Already have.
Do you
I was
sell
gonna say
steak?
what? I was gonna say what models.
What data do you need about who eats steak, bro? Are you judging
What
people
data
by
do I need?
weight?
Okay,
or
yeah, okay, good question. Altaf,
Instagram pictures.
yeah.
How are you
So
talking
to improve your business here,
Go on.
you need to obviously sell it to a larger clientele. You can't get Ali's clientele, yeah, because we're gonna take that. Now we're gonna take that. But what kind of information would someone like Altaf need? This is for Ali, for selling his steaks. So he's got a side business that he sells steaks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like premium steaks. Yeah, so not like Sakib's.
Is
steaks.
it? Wait, but who to? Who's your target right now?
Our targets, 25 to 35-year-old males.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you would want more. You would want like things. So when somebody like says to you, "Who's your target?" You really want somebody to pop into your mind. So 25 to 35-year-old males, like, you want to be asking what's it about these guys that they want the steaks? Like, is it a is it a whole thing of, what's that whole
Is there a community? Is there a culture? Is there anything around it? It's a bit like coffee almost, isn't it, my bro?
yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, it's
Like
like
coffee brings a community. Even steaks, they've got their own community of people that like to appreciate like an expensive, let's just say, steak in it, my bro.
exactly.
Hey, wait, stop saying
What I
they're
mean-
expensive, man. Why you keep
But-
guys saying they're expensive, man? Cheap, bro.
Well, you gotta-
Not your
cheap.
steaks. Your steaks are very reasonable. mashallah.
Vegans. His clientele.
Yeah, I'm
is-
targeting vegans.
Okay,
Well,
Select them all.
you gotta ask them like, but what is it that they're liking about the steaks? Is it the connotation of the steak itself? Like before they get the steak, I mean, before they're eating the steak, are they taking a photo of it? Are they putting it on Instagram? Is the real reason behind the steak not the actual taste of the steak? It's everything that the steak shows. It shows I've got fine taste. I'm like, I'm making money. I can order steaks. That whole thing of, I'm a 25 to 35-year-old male who I'm killing it. I'm making money and I'm eating steaks every day. And, are they doing that with it? Are they actually into the taste of the steak? Are they the 25-year-old?
Or wait for it, Mufti Sahib, got that joke. Or are they making a mistake? Hey.
Allah Akbar. Allah, let me homicides. I'm laughing a bit.
Like, are
That's
they,
interesting. That's interesting point you made there. Like when you're looking at, for example, who you're going to sell the steak to, is it, for example, like someone starts a business and then they're going to get their novel sort of clients, and then they kind of like wear out after a while, yeah? Or is it, for example, like you're so passionate about steaks, you want your passion to flow out into everyone else?
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, sometimes like you're gonna go into a business thinking that that's it. I know this. I know the target, and I know them completely. Altaf, you could literally be saying, I know 25 to 35-year-old males. They've left their house, and they can't cook, but they still want something that tastes like mum's cooking. So I'm gonna do all the masala on these steaks and chickens. I'm gonna freeze it, and I'm just gonna sell it to them as frozen food. They're gonna heat it up, and they're gonna be eating like a subpar mum's food, back there. And I know these guys will take it like there because they're living on their own.
Plan, bro. Don't share it with the world.
Uncle Altaf, Uncle Benz.
That's Altaf's business plan.
But then when it
See
comes
Linda
to,
McCartney as a threat.
Who?
Linda McCartney.
Oh
Yeah, tofu is definitely a threat, bro.
Yeah.
Tofu and corn.
Interesting. It's interesting how, subhanallah, when it comes to these kind of business, there is so much thought that goes into marketing.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, your target, almost makes it way. Like I think Twingo or Twinzo is like, the best sold car ever. Like, the record breaking sales of this car thing. And when the marketing team found first did their market research, they basically said that we want to target 18 to 20-year-old males, the first time car buyers, and we want to target them with a really cheap small car. And they designed this car apparently for 18 to 25-year-old males and whatnot. And when it came to selling it, 60 to 65-year-old women loved the car.
Oh.
And if you looked at everything on spec, did they sell it to 18 to 20-year-old males? No. Did they even win 1% of that market share? No. Was the car designed for those people? No. But 60 to 65-year-old women, they loved the car. And they brought it so much that it became the top selling car still to this date. Aimed at the wrong people, designed for the wrong people, but somehow hit their market. So that's the thing. You can go into your market thinking that everything, thinking that thing. But then when it comes down to it, actually you've missed a very key point kind of thing. Another
Most
one
businesses
was,
don't do as much testing though in it, and that's the problem.
exactly. A lot of it is now with more tools. Now you can sort of thing. And now with like more focus groups and whatnot, you can sort of think. Like I think one was, in India they tried to like launch a car, like they needed it to be cheap, they needed it to be this exactly, etc. So they fully marketed themselves on being the cheap, car. And then when they launched it in India, they realized it flopped. And what they realized was, because they don't have the money, what they don't want is a cheap car. They want a reliable car. They want something that if they do spend the money on it, they know it's not going to break ever, kind of thing. So like what they realized was like, damn, now that we've marketed ourselves on cheap, they're not looking at it as reliable. They don't want to, like, a cheap car. They're gonna save the money up, and they just want to buy one thing once and be like, that's it. I don't have the money to buy something else. I need this to work, kind of thing. So sometimes you miss it. Sometimes you think that actually they just want, something cheap. It's not. They want something, a little bit, deeper than that. Sometimes you've got to look at, the key driver, behind that sometimes. So,
I got a question for you, Ali. Like, for example, in marketing, how far do you feel is too far? So they have this kind of like supply and demand. Yeah. So is this still the whole system based on supply and demand? Or because I was reading somewhere that now it's actually shifting towards where a demand is being made. Like people are creating a demand in people's minds.
yeah,
They need this.
exactly.
So how far would you
yeah.
say it's too far stepping the line as a Muslim yourself?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, these companies thrive off insecurities. At the end of the day, like, you've got to have an insecurity, to buy, these kinds of products, or any kind of product almost. Stakes too far. So, at the end of it, I mean, these products aren't giving you the functionality need. They're fulfilling a hole within yourself. They're fulfilling something that you think you don't have, or you think that this product is going to give you more of, kind of thing. So I'll give you an example. Why does a person buy a Mercedes rather than a BMW, or why does a person buy a BMW rather than Mercedes? Both of their brands have different values to them. One will have like sophistication, sleek, and luxury, and the other one will have robust.
Going through red lights.
Yeah.
For my Porsches, I must make amends.
And the other will have like strong, robust, and reliable, or something, to the name. And you'll see two different, people mesh with, those different, brand values, to the point where they'd rather buy one, than the other. And it's because it's something inside of them that they want to be sophisticated, sleek, and and feel like they have money or whatnot, or luxurious. And the fact that they're willing to spend such thousands on that comes from a place of, we don't feel like we have that right now, so we've got to spend this money on this to get to this level. And that's where the marketing and the brands come in. To market themselves of, you don't have it until you get this, and until you get this, then you'll have it to a certain point. But then you've got to constantly get up, like makeup, for example. Like, if every person felt like they didn't need the makeup, then would the makeup sell? Not really. I mean, so you've got to market it in a certain way of, you need this makeup.
So okay, give me an example. How do they market it, like, to make women feel they have to have makeup?
Oh yeah, like they'll Photoshop, like, women they'll Photoshop, photos and, all these kinds of things to an unreal, perspective or reality, upon the appearance of, a woman. And then all of a sudden it's like, this is the standard now. You've got to reach, this standard, kind of thing. But it's an unrealistic standard. The only way, to really get to it is Photoshop. No amount of makeup is ever going to get you to that standard. but you're still, but for you, you know, they're giving you that message of this makeup gets you to that standard. This makeup gets you to that point. Like, if that makes
You
sense.
know, okay, so that's interesting because, you know, like, let's say, for example, like there's like this makeup industry, right? Now, let's say Muslims want to benefit from that makeup industry. So they might kind of like say, okay, we've got makeup products that
We
are
got nail varnish that will let
halal.
water go through it.
Yeah, we got like makeup. No, forget that. We
It's
just
made
got
from
makeup
it.
products that we can guarantee are halal. Like they've been certified. Yeah, makeup products that have been certified by a particular committee, organization, and they've been certified by them. Um, to me, it seems okay. I mean, women want to wear makeup. That's their own sort of like thing they want to do. It's fine.
Absolutely.
But then it's like then the kind of like Islamic kind of side coming into it, and people sort of like validating it through an Islamic organization, saying that this makeup is halal. This makeup is. I mean, I don't know.
Ingredients wise,
It might, yeah, ingredients, just ingredients wise, not promoting the makeup.
Oh
They're
yeah.
gonna eat the makeup.
Because
No, sorry.
this is like a new thing that people are going into is to try and sort of like Islamize things.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the
So
thing. Like,
what's the market for that at the moment?
you know, that's the interesting thing. Like, you know, in all of it, well, you know, you'll see it with, you know, loads of things. Like, you know, you'll see it with, you know, vegans and stuff. Like, or anybody, you know, who doesn't. You'll see it with an atheist, for example. They'll do any kind of habith act. They'll literally do any kind of act until it gets to something specific, something very certain of like wearing clothing that's made from real animal fur or something. Like they'll do any kind of, you know, thing. But then when it comes to this, like, no, we can't do this. This is what gives us value in our life, kind of thing.
Oh,
Like this is where we draw our line, and we are a decent human being because we do this. Like, you know, and that's almost, you know, their religion. That's almost something that they've taken upon themselves of, we stay within this ruling, and, you know, we keep within thing. And in the same way, like, you know, this whole makeup thing of you know, it's halal, you know, makeup kind of thing. Is it coming from a lack of, you know, other practices within the whole religion, and then it's like, actually we just need to take, you know, the fact that we're Muslim, and we need to take this religion part and then put it on, you know, something else, and say that no, we're buying this, so look how high we are in religion. Look how high we are in religion here, because our practices are here, but the products we buy, they all say halal certified, Islamic, super pious, you know, etc. kind of thing. So then, because then will it fill this gap over here, kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like,
okay. So I got like a follow-up question there then. Would you say that if you were to keep yourself within the boundaries that Islam has sort of like ethics and morals that Islam has laid down as foundations for our religion, would you say that a person cannot progress in the modern market, can't compete in the modern market?
no, definitely not. I think like, you know, if like I'm seeing it like loads, like kind of thing, like the marble market is filled with lies. Like, you know, I'm majority within, you know, the marble market kind of thing, and literally like you come into it and it's like you tell one piece of truth, and all of a sudden it's like, oh damn, this guy this guy is the most truthful guy. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm just telling you it real, kind of thing. Like, you know, many people,
As in you tell your clients or your suppliers?
the clients, I mean, and the suppliers really, but I mean, there's not really much discussion going on with the client, with the suppliers. It's like, you know, the clients will want to hear X, Y, and Z. You know, we can get it to you in 2 weeks. It's not made in China. It's etc. kind of thing. And then when you come with, actually it is made in China, you're not going to get it in 2 weeks because it's made in China and it's going to take time to ship over here. Then all of a sudden it's like, we don't like hearing that, but we already know that everything, you know, is being made over there, kind of thing. We know what we're getting.
Even if it's like marble, isn't marble like mined in or taken out from Italy or something?
No, I mean there's marble that's mined all over the world kind of thing. Like there's marble, like if you want to go for like onyxes, you would go for like Yemen, and you'd go for like Chile, and like places like that kind of thing. Like so there's literally marble like that's mined like it's fun. Like it's an amazing thing, to be honest. Like if you look at the rocks that come out of the earth and where they're placed and how distinctive they are to that place, to the point where you cannot like copy it to a different place. Like you literally just have to go there and get it, kind of thing. Like there's specific stones that are only in Canada that you will not get anywhere else, kind of thing.
Like, I mean, to us, I mean, to me, I don't know about you guys, marble just is marble. When you see someone's fireplace, and it's like granite or marble, I mean, it's very difficult to tell. What's the difference between granite and marble?
Granite is a lot harder. It's a lot of a harder material, and it doesn't have a running vein almost. It's more like pigmented, like but there's differences within that, like within granites, like you'll get a very white granite from Spain, and you'll get the same white granite from Canada. The only difference in it is the Spanish white granite will have so much iron in that sooner or later you'll find a rust appear on the granite, whereas the Canadian granite, it's so pure white and there's no iron in it that for years and years and years it will never change color. Like leave it outside, like then it will stay longer than yourself, basically. Okay. So even within the whole things, like they look at how much iron is in it, how much like composites it's made of, and stuff like that.
I mean,
it's a bit of a random question I've got for you.
Yeah, go on.
Why, obviously we humans give certain things value, yeah, in general. Like the amount of desirability for an item will make it more valuable in some senses, isn't it?
100%.
But why, like, how come gold, even like I think even from I don't know, from an Islamic point of view, is always given value? Why this commodity? Why does it hold more preference than everything else? Why do we see this as something that we need to trade by?
I mean,
I know it's a bit of a deep question. I don't know why it's just come to my head.
There's nothing really explicitly mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah.
Do you understand what I mean, though? Don't you?
Of gold. I mean, the only thing that's mentioned in the Hadith is that Allah created them to be currencies. So this could mean like the intrinsic. I mean, scientific facts like gold is the least was it rusting material, right? It's the longer lasting one, and it's very rare to find. I mean, these kind of intrinsic natural sort of like things you find in this particular metal, which make it important for people. Well, I mean, there could be other things. I mean, one interesting thing Imam Ghazali mentions is he says the reason why Allah has prohibited the Prophet ﷺ prohibited Muslims from using gold utensils is because gold is meant to be used as a currency, and if you were to use it in the wrong place, what's going to happen? It's going to affect the market's economy. So, I mean, he had a very deep insight understanding of how important it is for money to flow continuously. And you are going to get certain people, like, you probably heard in the news about that guy in India who had, the most expensive shirt made from gold. Like £80,000. He died. I don't know how he died.
Beautiful contrast on his skin as well. He looks excellent in it. MashaAllah.
Yeah. So it's like when you kind of look at these kind of things. I mean, someone mentioned here, I think Amaji mentioned about the businessman being honest. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ said himself that on the Day of Judgment, most businessmen are going to be raised as liars in front of Allah, except for those who actually live their lives, in obedience to Allah. So this is why when I ask you that question about, in this market of today, which is like a very sort of vicious market that we have, the rat race. I mean, can a Muslim really compete? Like if a Muslim wants to, let's say, start providing a clothing outlet, and you've got this kind of clothes market out there that makes clothes in sweatshops in Bangladesh and India or other sort of like countries, unfortunately, and at very low rates with very bad conditions. But then we are kind of like saying, well, we're happy to buy it. Yeah, and we would complain if the price goes up. So it's like, is there this new problem that's been created with this Muslim like pro app, Like I was reading a comment someone put. Someone said, "Oh, everyone delete your apps," and then one guy in the comment said, "Well, what's wrong with having your data? I don't mind them having my data. I've got nothing to hide."
Yeah.
But then I was thinking to myself, well, it's the principle which is here being compromised, which is okay. Do you know the value of your data? Do you know what your data, how they could manipulate your? I don't know to what degree they can manipulate your sort of like the way that you kind of perceive the world or politics or the
Multi-sub,
decision that you make. Yeah.
do you feel like it's an invasion of your privacy?
See, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like I don't really mind. It's not. I wouldn't like kind of say I don't mind living in a glass house and everyone can see everything I do in my whole day. 24-hour day.
I wouldn't
Not to
want
that
that.
level of open privacy. But what I'm saying is that there's things behind the scene that you don't understand, that they're using privacy as a sort of like an argument. That do you feel that your privacy, but they're not understanding that behind the scenes there might be other layers of problems that we're not actually looking at. So if you're saying, for example, there's a pregnant woman, how many pregnant women would be worried now that there are people out there that are targeting them to try and sell them things? Right? You probably think, okay, someone might say, okay, there's actually people out there who are looking for a 38-year-old Muslim who is quite, serious about his religion, who attends, the talks, masjid, and there's a market out there who are trying to look at what these people do. Yeah. So whether it's the kind of like pharmaceutical market that wants to know what kind of halal medicines I can sell him, or whether it's like, for example, like takeaways and these kind of things that they can sell my information and say, you know what, this guy, he kind of likes these kind of things, and there's more of them in this area. It's better to sell this product here. You'll make more money. That's something I'll be concerned of.
It's not just products, don't move to sub. It's also the development of like solutions as well for their problems. So it's like, how do you add value to their situation and their circumstance? So how does my product, add a service to it that will help them improve their whole situation and circumstance? So most products you see now, they come with attached with services. They don't just come as a product themselves. They come with services. Obviously, they have an additional cost to them. Sometimes like a monthly cost or whatever else, and they get you sucked into the whole subscription kind of model. But they genuinely are trying to add value for you. It's that question of how you understand that value and how you then decide whether it's worth it for you. So, for instance, you might buy, say you might buy an item. I'm trying to think of just a random product now.
Steak.
Sorry,
Steak.
I'll give you
Okay,
an
so
example.
maybe
I'll give you an example of steak. Then.
okay, let's say for example something for me, what I would like. I probably never thought to myself, like if I had to sell something to myself, what would I kind of like look for? I've never thought about that. But at the moment, yeah, it'd probably be computer gadgets. Yes, I'm trying to improve my, sort of like technology.
No. So with the computer
So I'm
gadget
just-
move to sub, they would sell you the support that goes with it, the class, the community that's there that exists that specializes in this. They'd sell you the tutorials. They'd sell you the lessons that go with it. They'd sell you the add-ons that you can use. You can get sold a number of different things within this. But there's one other thing that you said, Mufsab, and I think that this is for me where the crux of it comes down to, is you see entrepreneurs, right, and you see this new kind of emergence of, it's not a new emergence, but it's been there for some time, but more density, is you get entrepreneurs and you get social entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs that are there for social benefit, right? That are led by social benefit. So their main aim is to be provide a social benefit, and profit is secondary to them. And you get this whole group of people on the other side of the spectrum are just cold-blooded entrepreneurs. And this on this spectrum, you have like a whole list of different types of people, right, and how they're motivated to different levels. And with Islamic ones, what happens is that they position themselves as social entrepreneurs, like we are here for the deen's best. But what happens is that, and where we find it difficult to levy up is, one, they've got to make their businesses sustainable, so they've got to make it work, otherwise it doesn't work whatsoever. The second thing is, how do you balance making your business work along with actually driving some form of social benefit, even when it isn't that? So like, when you get the whole I asked somebody as a joke on a group that I'm on, like with loads of foodies, I said, can Asda start selling honey and call it Sunnah honey? And somebody goes, Muslims own Asda, so why can't they do it now? which was quite a funny, which was quite a funny comeback, to be honest. He goes, they'll not only have that aisle, they'll have a few other aisles as well, brother. So I was it black oil as well, black seed oil. So so when you look at that, that's the spectrum that I find Mufti Sahib is that where our confusion comes in is they have an Islamic agenda, but they also have to have a sustainable business model, and trying to find a balance between that is creating confusion for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, okay. I mean, I've just got a little thing to add, and maybe Ali can speak about this. You know, there's this problem now in the world, which it's clear. You know, the movement of this kind of anti-traditional sort of movement, right? So we can see it in the form of politics, and we can see it in the form of education, and we can see it in the form of sort of like these small little sort of like philosophical movements that are taking place at the moment, and it's very sort of like anti-tradition. We don't want that old tradition to carry on, and we want to try to break people away from that. And so there's this guy. He's a academic, and he argues this important point. He says, you see where the way that Islamic academics is kind of like being pushed at the moment, like you can imagine like a ship. This Islamic ship has been like traveling for like years in this ocean, and it's independent. It's like been uninfluenced by anything around it. It's always been the one that's kind of like been making decisions and been telling the people, right, this is how you're supposed to do things. This is what our Islam teaches us. All of a sudden, what's happened now is that the water that they were flowing in has become so strong now, it's making the decisions of how they need to change. So now the current against this ship is becoming so strong that some academics are now questioning, why can't we adjust this in our tradition? Why can't we adjust this? Why can't we adjust this? So his argument was, and this guy's not even a Muslim, by the way. Yeah, he's Orientalist, but he's not even Muslim. But he stands up for the tradition. He says capitalism, he goes, one of the biggest problems with capitalism is that capitalism is something that has no mercy at all. And he goes, the capitalism is designed to dismantle the whole tradition that we have in our society. And when he talks about tradition, he extends it to like the whole family setup, unit, husband and wife, and bringing up children and all that kind of system. And it's like he's saying that the way it's been designed is that it wants to make every individual a consumer and an earner for the society. That's all he wants to do. And what's happening slowly now is like, unfortunately, many of us as Muslims are like falling in that bandwagon, and we're saying to ourselves, that why can't we have like a feminism Islam, or why can't we have like this sort of, let's say, I don't know, like a halal finance, halal mortgage, sort of like a finance thing, right? So the argument that they're using as well, we're in a system that's already set up and it's filled with riba, interest. So we're just like temporarily we're coming out with our own fix. But the problem is that if you're in a toxic environment, like how long are you going to be in that fix for? Like shouldn't you try to make something which is in parallel? That's another total argument itself. But the point is that he's making is that if we start adjusting our tradition, how far are we going to be? If we're adjusting it now, 50 years time, our new generations, how much are they going to adjust? And then eventually in 100, 200 years time, what's going to be left of what we see as morals, Islamic morals and ethics? So when we have this like Muslim Pro app, I think it's a very important thing that people protested against it. Even if they argue, well, you signed up to it, you read the terms and conditions, you knew we're going to be selling. That's how we make our money. We sell data. But that's not the issue. I don't feel that's the issue. The greater underlying issue is as Muslims, like, where do we draw the line to say that, look, you know what? I don't believe selling these toys and calling them sunnah is sunnah. I refuse to buy these things. Or selling like Zamzam water with a bit of honey and with this and that. I don't believe this as being sunnah. You're just feeding off other people, trying to make them feel as though they're doing something good. And in reality, they're not doing anything good. Yeah? It's like you're profiting, and if you didn't make any money, would you still call it sunnah? Does that make sense? Sous vide, bro. Is that how you spell it? So I mean, and that's just on my mind. I don't know anyone else has got. I mean, you can disagree with me on this. I don't have any problem with that. But Ali, what's your kind of like?
Yeah. I mean, just going back to the original, what are they doing with the data and things? I mean, yeah. I don't really care, like, how much they, want to plug a product in my face. Like, by all means, like, plug the product in the face. I know for some people it's not the nicest thing, but but I think the more dangerous part of it comes where you have to ask yourself how much of your own views are being influenced by other people that that are psycho-analyzing you to know where and what makes you tick. Basically, like they have you on a piece of paper, and you see it like
I saw this in a documentary, bro.
yeah,
What's it called, man?
like
Subliminal messages.
not subliminal method, but that whole thing of you might like that you might like is probably one of the most dangerous things. Like you think, because if you are a person who is motivated by fear, then you could very easily make headlines that demonize a certain religion or a certain culture and push it out to these specific people and know that this is going to trigger them. This is going to be a very effective trigger for them, and this is going to start making them look at these group of people in a specific way. And
and sorry, this was actually, this was done in China with the NBA.
NBA.
So NBA basketball in China. There's actually like a documentary on this. That there was an NBA coach or something, and he said something against what China's doing in Hong Kong. He tweeted something. Overnight, this is the guy. Virtually overnight, the government got the majority of the people to hate NBA. Even though there's Chinese players that were playing in the NBA, and there were like American players that were playing in China.
Yeah.
So they shifted. They've got these analysts out there that are looking at people's reactions to NBA, and they're knowing exactly what to say to make them hate it. I mean, you Google this, you'll find it on YouTube. And it was like shocking at how like powerful these people are, like in China, in shifting people's understanding about what's happening in Hong Kong, with the riots. I mean, this is like going on for like a few years now. The protests, Hong Kong protests. And it was like they simply are just manipulating masses through their social media because they don't have Google over there, no YouTube, no Facebook, but they've got their own we. They call it we. Right? And it's very, very. I mean, this is what Yuval Harari says in his that book that he's written, the latest book that he's written, not latest one, the previous one he wrote. He says that the problem with all of this like data being based upon algorithms and being based upon trends is biased because there has to be someone who is programming this algorithm in a certain way. So we're asking the question, okay, who's at the top? Who's making the decisions of how the algorithm should be made?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got to like the whole tinfoil bodysuit point now. Forget the tin hat. But yeah, it's like these every person that's buying this information has their own agenda behind it, and it's not just a sales agenda. It's an agenda of how they'd like to see the world, or what they think is right or wrong in the world. You get pro-Israelis and you get pro-Palestinians, and both of them will have their agenda for how they want people to view the world, and to view how certain actions that are going on in the world. So when they have that kind of information and they have the money to put behind it, then they can
influence.
Design things in a certain way and target people in a specific way to make that effect more feasible, and to see that sort of thing happen, to see that sort of desire of how they'd like to see the world come to place.
I was looking at this. I was doing research about YouTube influencers, and one of the things that they raised was the issue of sponsorship. YouTube sponsorship.
Yeah.
So if you reach a certain level of subscribers, you get these companies that are contacting you, and they want to pay you a certain amount of money for you to just like for 30 seconds or so, just advertise their product. So sometimes you get people who are reviewing this and saying, you know what, I'm for this, and some say not. There was one guy and he was saying, look, he goes, the problem with this, he was against this idea of sponsoring something that you haven't used yourself and you're not really passionate about.
Yeah.
He goes, because it's very hypocritical.
Yeah.
Because if a subscriber knows a certain individual, and then you kind of think it is, why is this guy is a gamer? Why is he kind of like sponsoring, some I don't know, some vegetable cutter? Like, why is he doing this for? It seems very disingenuous of why he's doing this. So I think Altaf's had to leave. So I mean we'll finish it in a bit. But I mean what I want to sort of like pick your brains on is so at the moment, okay, what should Muslims be doing? What do you think Muslims should be focusing on in this new sort of like way of marketing? Because at the moment it seems, I mean, I don't know about the big Muslim companies out there. They're probably doing a different way, but for Muslims who are starting off their small businesses and Muslims out there who are thinking about going into marketing, what do you think Muslims should do?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that let me take one step, back and just say, most likely we'll be speaking to Western Muslims that are over here, and Islam has prevailed or Islam is mostly in the East and South Asian countries. And then we are the second generation that have come over here, and or the first generation, sorry, that have come over here, possibly second, possibly third, depending on like which generation came over. And the thing is, when you come from a lower developed country, education is on necessity. So you educate for necessity, you educate for doctors, lawyers, engineers, etc. You don't go for the artists, and you don't go for, so the creative side gets completely left out, and you've got to keep to the logical side of we've got to develop engineers, etc. So when we come over to the West, there is a very high developed country. We're still in that sort of generation gap where that is the thing of, we motivate people to go into a more logical based education for an engineer or a doctor or a pharmacist, or some kind of part that is you read something, it's a yes or a no, 2 + 2 is 4, etc. So we don't
more empirically saying.
Yeah. So we don't really grow up with the appreciation of art, or the appreciation of design, or the appreciation of creativity.
Is that something that you found that helped you a lot in?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean,
was that because you're into this kind of like or graphic design, isn't it part?
Product design, yeah.
Product design, yeah. So isn't that like to do with graphics as well? And
yeah. So absolutely, like so I was quite fortunate that that they didn't, like, my parents didn't look at the course and were like, design? What? Like, are you stupid? You're gonna become a lawyer.
Why don't you become a doctor like so down the road?
Yeah, exactly. So, but because we're grown up with that mindset, or we've reached that mindset, and it's still going to take a few generations to get to the point where we're established, and actually our children can start looking at the creative side of things. Because of that, we don't have an appreciation for creativity, and because we don't have that appreciation for creativity, then when people are like, I want to start a business kind of thing, it's almost like a copycat business. It's almost like, this guy's selling steaks,
dessert shops basically.
Yeah. So this guy is selling steaks, so I'm gonna sell steaks, like it. And it's like,
let me tell you a story. Sorry to interrupt you. I remember there was a guy who told me that there was a Pakistani guy. He opened a chip shop. He was selling chicken and chips for £2. Because a couple of months later, another Pakistani guy opened a chip shop a couple of doors away, and he started selling them for 180. And by the time they had finished, they were both selling chicken and chips for about 80 pence or something like that, and they were literally making nothing.
That's the thing. Like,
but it was just a.
So, but isn't that like kind of like what's that technique you were mentioning about the jab hook jab?
Jab.
Yeah. Jab. Wasn't that jab hook? The big guy, you forgot the hook, but it's just too many jabs.
This is it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, so they don't go into the business of thinking what difference am I offering, or what is my USP, what is my thing that that's just going to be for me, and that's going to be my little like niche in the market kind of thing. So and that's a huge problem because
So
straight.
is that what you're seeing at the moment in the Muslim community?
Yeah,
There's a lot of
absolutely. I mean,
copying.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big, quite a big, issue of it. And then the other issue of it is, I don't know why, but we're really big on pyramid schemes. we just look at pyramid.
Yeah, because in Egypt, the Muslim country, there's
I've got
pyramids.
something
So
else, bro, for you to hang up on someone's wall.
how much would that help?
It looks like an Italian glove.
That's
It started in Italy apparently, and
man, that's it. Like with the Italian, you can just add another zero onto that figure.
that's it, bro.
That's it,
I want it on the catwalks in Milan, bro.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's interesting, mashallah, the kind of stuff that you raised today. There's still lots and lots and lots that thing we can actually talk about, and maybe in a future podcast we can have you back on,
Yeah.
and you can help clarify some of the sort of like misconceptions that people have, because I mean what you're saying here is actually, it doesn't really hit me there, right, in the past, but now it's actually making sense to me, which is Muslims don't really know how to really set up a business. Yeah, in the sense that, like, why do you need to copy everyone for? Is it, isn't there anything else that we can start? And then the thing that I keep on having a problem with is this idea of everything has to be sunnah.
Yeah.
You've got these sunnah products and sunnah makeup and sunnah sort of like, shops and sunnah this and sunnah that. And on the back of Islam, you're trying to make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
And I feel that's a wrong. And I know some people are saying, well, what other choice do we have? But that's not really a good answer for me. It's like, what other choice do you have? It's just like, I don't know. So then when these Muslim Pro apps, they do these kind of things, and then it's like the guy was, they were giving azan on there, and they were giving salat on there, and then it kind of gives you this kind of like despondency in Muslim professionals.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, we're coming from a religion that we believe is completely perfect, and we believe that has tremendous value over anything else. We believe like we're coming from a place that has the answers, and then we're sort of neglecting all those answers. For a very,
I've got some really expensive attar for you if you want to buy it off me.
Attar.
Yeah,
Attar.
attar. I got an attar for
Sunnah
you.
attar. Is it only is it sunnah attar?
Yeah.
Allah,
I'll sell you this.
attar.
I'll sell you this attar for 40 quid. Absolute bargain, mate.
So you can try it on, smell it, and tell me what it smells like.
It's called what's it called?
Black seed.
No,
It's called black seed.
Darbari jasmine. That was it.
If I can,
Oh yeah.
Darbari jasmine. That's what it's called, mate.
Come, the body jasmine, bro.
Darbari jasmine.
Yara. We gotta.
I think I can spell it through the computer. That's really good at that.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Yeah, this is for everyone. Yeah, all of you guys. This is a question, and it's for Cam as well. When you started practicing, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you kind of like see that you have to buy this kind of products? Did you feel that you have to buy this perfume rather than going to Boots or Body Shop?
I felt I needed to smell somewhat Middle Eastern at the early stages.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to smell like I'm not from here. Almost like I don't know how to explain it.
Like a miswak,
like burnt wood almost.
Oh, miswak in your pocket, yeah.
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 Just in that, or maybe just like just
No, I always started buying. I thought there were certain names like, no, is it white musk, bro? Yeah, I have to buy this white musk, man, because it's white, bro. It's like it's more pure.
Allah, subhanallah. You had to buy those kind of like lota,
I was a victim.
the kind of lota, yeah. And
Yeah,
the
I was a
slippers,
victim.
those kind of with the slippers, you put your toe into it, those
Yeah.
What were you talking about, Mufti Saab? Voodoo master, voodoo slippers.
yeah. But it's just strange how, if you kind of look at it, with Muslims in the past, like you hear about the Sahaba, great Sahaba who became entrepreneurs and became like, pioneers in certain types of business transactions, and helped the Muslims so much in gaining such a strong economic society, whether it was in India or whether it was in the Middle East, or whether it was in any other country, even in Europe, Spain, where Muslims had a very strong, a very big, a strong sort of like position status in Europe. It's just like when you kind of like look at what's happening today, and you look at this whole sort of like idea of people just trying to make money as much as they can. I mean, one of the problems that we have today in our communities is HMOs, where it's like, okay, we know you want to make money on rent, but it's like you're dying to put anyone in there just to make £200 from them a week or whatever.
It's crazy.
And then it's like the neighbors are saying, please, man, these guys, you get, unfortunately, you get individuals that usually, are put in those houses.
Might not be
who
the
are
most
kind of like,
beneficial to society.
yeah, they're not the really ones that are really kind of, conducive to,
Yeah.
your family, kids. Yeah. And it's like, when you say this to them, they say, well, we're not doing anything haram. We're just renting it out. And then it's like, okay, well, but, shall I open one next to your mom's house? See how you like it? And it actually happened with a
Well,
guy.
that was a bit harsh, Mufti Sahib.
One of my friends, he said there was a house a few houses down. So his mate basically left that house and he rented it out and he made it to HMO. And he goes, a bike got nicked from his garden. So the guy complained to the landlord and said, look, you're our mate. You've been living next to us for so many years. How would you feel if we had a HMO next to your mom's house? Right? The guy didn't know what to say. So it was like the guy was okay to make money, and even if it meant that your own Muslim and brothers and sisters out there have to kind of suffer from this. But then when it came to like questioning it for himself, like, is it really, honestly, put your hand on your heart, do you really feel comfortable that this is something beneficial? It's like you're making the money, you're making triple what you would make, quadruple what you'd make if you put normal tenants in there. So I think these kind of things that people are doing out there, it's very sad. At the same time, it's like, how do you kind of like resolve this? Because you don't really have a magic button that you can just press and everyone will just say, you know what, this is all wrong, because it's kind of spiraling out of control now. I don't know.
That's the thing. That's the copycat culture. Like, just coming back into it. It's working for my cousin, so I'm gonna do it as well.
Yeah,
it's working for him, and he's gonna do it. Like, and it's like, trust me, bro. Just do it. Like, no, like, the sad thing is, I mean, we know that we're living in a society where mental health and drinking problems and drug problems and all these kind of things are rife. And it's like, we're coming from a place where we have the answers, and it's like, actually, you're getting non-Muslims making apps and setting up organizations that are actually contributing some good stuff to the society. And it's like, and they're coming to the answers that we already come to. I mean, if you look at some of the things that, like, they'll tell you for drug problems or drinking problems or any of these kind of things, they'll really push at the purpose of life and your meaning and that higher kind of calling and whatnot. And it's like, we already had that from Islam. We could.
Is that? Would you say that? Would you say that's because they're not like in our position of being second generation or third generation Muslims in this country? Migrants, sorry.
Who's that? Sorry. Oh, the more established, so they're just looking at.
So they're kind of like thinking like, we don't really need to focus on these sort of like areas. We can think about the arts and the helping the community more.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, still, nevertheless, they have to, come to an idea that how's it going to make money? They still have to, monopolize it in, some kind of way. They're just doing it in a lot more of a clever way. So, for example, people treating animals right isn't just an Islamic, value. You're seeing atheists and all these kinds of people that are, respecting that value. So then you're seeing loads of, food brands come into existence now, where it's like, no, we're 100%. We like treat animals good. We do this, we do that, etc., etc. And it's kind of sad that actually, had I have just been like more on the principles of my Islam, would have looked at this brand and been like, that's not a good. That they aren't treating the fish like they're growing fish in like cages that are like disgusting, like you know what I mean. And then come to the same product from this kind of root instance kind of thing, and then all of a sudden it's like there's a lot of barakah in it because it's come from a good intention, but not only that, you're trying to change something, for the better and whatnot.
Yeah, that's the interesting one. The fish one's a good example. It's like the panga fish they sell in chip shops.
Yeah,
You see it
like,
now?
yeah,
So
exactly.
they have written over there, this is panga and this is real cod.
Yeah, real
And
cod.
it's like you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute. Like there's people that know that they're selling fish that has been brought up in environments that are toxic,
Yeah,
and they don't mind buying that fish because it's like £1 cheaper.
yeah, exactly. That's
And it's like yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I watched this BBC documentary on how panga fish is imported from Vietnam, and they literally like the farming that they do. They literally, the guy says, yeah, they measured 15 feet of filth.
oh
It was like they used to feed them this kind of like feed to the fish to build them up,
yeah.
and the water has to be of a certain sort of like level of, you can say, toxicity,
Oh,
right? But the fish grow in there very well, and then they're like shipped off to different places, and one is the UK. And it's like, if people know that this is the type of fish that they're getting, the question is like, okay, if someone said to me, well, look, if we stop selling it, people are not going to buy the cod off us. They want the cheap stuff, and they're not really interested in this kind of like, where it comes from. It's like, like you were mentioning, that they've come from an environment where they never questioned the food that they ate. Now all of a sudden, now you come to a new environment where people aren't questioning the chicken,
yeah,
factory farm chickens, and there's different types of meat, questionable types of meat that are cross-contamination meat, or for example, like having processed food, or having food that is really kind of like cancerous food.
yeah.
So it's like you're right. I think education is a big part, has a big part to play in a lot of these things. But at the same time, it's difficult to kind of just tell all the Muslims, right, get rid of all your businesses,
Exactly. Yeah.
work from the ground up and make yourself halal.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, I mean, a lot of first generation, businesses, they will have come over here with most likely nothing. They'll have sold land back in a subcontinent country, and then come over here, and it's almost like hustle or die, like make money or die, like and you can't say to a person like, no, I mean, come on, be original, don't copy, like.
Yeah.
Make money, but come on, like at least help the community.
Yeah.
It's like, no, bro, like, I've got this much load of money. I've got to put it into something that I know is surefire and, is going to, do something. And then slowly, generations down the line, like, we'll be in a position, or like, generations later, we'll be in a position where it's like actually, the children now aren't looking at how can I make money as quick as possible kind of thing. It's more like how where's that gap in the market to like make something.
Is that what you're seeing?
I think 100%. I think so. Like I think so. That's me. I think Muslims, like at the moment, sub-Asian Muslims are subcontinent Muslims, like from Pakistan, India, etc., are making most of the population of Muslims in the UK, and the way I think they've been able to educate themselves in 1 year is unbelievable. Like I can't believe that you have a father who literally is like some taxi driver, bus driver, like corner shop owner, or like factory worker, and then his sons are like full doctors, lawyers, accountants, architects. Within 1 year, they've gone, like, if you look at the community, it's gone from like the absolute bottom of the food chain to no, we're top. We're top of the food chain now. We're like literally, we are the doctors, we are the lawyer, etc., kind of. And you think, wow, like two generations of that kind of salary, where they'll own a house, their children will own a house, and most likely at that point, when their children are born, kind of thing, their fathers would have just said like, I'm going to sort them out with, a house. I'm going to sort them out with this or that kind of.
Inherit a house, you mean? Inheritance.
Exactly.
Okay,
we've
I've
established
actually
that.
seen something. For example, like sometimes I might kind of like visit someone or might see a house or something that's been bought by, let's say, someone was living in an area in Birmingham that isn't really kind of like one of the high class areas, let's say, and then all of a sudden their children will get good jobs and slowly start moving out to the upper class areas.
Yeah.
So one thing that I found was it's funny. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like they'll build themselves a really massive house, right? They have this thing about building a house.
Yeah.
They have to build it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the material they'll use is like strange material. You don't find like, and you're thinking it's like they spent so much on this windows, yeah. And you're thinking these aren't the right. They're breaking after a year or two.
Exactly.
They're like rusting or like, but it just looked nice in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like the outside the wall, it was just like a nice sort of design. All of a sudden, nice, all moldy and it's like you're thinking to yourself, if someone was born in this country and had family in this country for several generations, they don't do these kind of things. When they buy themselves, like when they've got a lot of money,
Yeah.
they spend the money well and it's long lasting.
Yes.
So is it something you've seen, or is it just me kind of
Yeah.
the wrong people?
100%, 100%. Like, they have that whole value. They have that value thing of like, it's so interesting. Like, when a person has too much money, when they're speaking of, I brought this particular slab because it has 5% less carbon emission than this slab in the production. So we're gonna put all of these slabs in the garden now, and we're gonna do this, and you're like, what? Like, how are you like looking at such nitty gritty, detail?
Yeah.
And it's because of actually we've just got too much now, and we're trying to find value in ourselves. We're trying to find like where do we connect ourselves onto to show that we're not a habit human being. We're not, like we're someone of like
Makes sense.
big value and whatnot.
Makes sense. I mean, it's like really. I mean, like my brother-in-law, yeah, he kind of like does electric work, yeah. So
He kind of does it Mufti Saab, so he does half jobs.
Yeah, so
He
I'm
just
not
does half a
promoting.
job. Don't go
I'm not
to
promoting, but he did good work in my house, yeah. So alhamdulillah. So he was. So he was basically installing spotlights in my living room. Yeah. So you've seen those spotlights in it. I've got 4 spotlights.
Yeah.
So he goes to me, how much do you want in the living room? And I said, I think 4 will be okay. I mean, how much light do I want? He goes, you don't know the people I put it in for. And he was like saying like these Asian, clients of his. He goes, they go to me, I want 25, like in the same space as what you've got.
Gosh.
25 spotlights. And I'm saying to him, why do you need so much? He goes, I need light. So it's like these spotlights, you can get them for different prices, right? You can get like different range ones. So like the spotlights that I bought.
Go outside, man. If you need light, just go outside. You don't need.
I know, exactly, and like he wants 25, and you can imagine when every time someone comes to the house and he's going like, I've got 25 lights here.
His living room would feel like a kitchen.
Exactly, and then they have those kind of like really bright ones, like the really bright ones, super luminous ones.
Yeah.
And then it's like you like if you got money, it's like Allah's taken away your aql, your understanding, common sense of how to use that money, like where to use it. I'm sure if they get a hold of your kind of products, yeah, you'll make loads of money. Yeah, you just sell them anything. Just say to them, look, this is from Canada, no rust in this, and this is
Exactly.
Buy this off me, bro. Buy it off me. Sell it to someone. Sell it to someone, please.
Do the wheels
Make my future, bro. Just make
the
my
wheels
future,
move
bro.
or not.
It was crafted by a monkey.
Yeah, so no, I think I really enjoyed today's podcast. I think there's a lot of kind of things that we can reflect on in our Muslim community. Although sometimes kind of we might say things that might offend certain people, individuals. But the reality is, I mean, you might like what people say, you might not like what people say, yeah. And if a person does something genuine, people can see the genuineness in that, in there, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. If they're honest in their business, if they're honest in the way that they conduct themselves, you know, people just generally have this ability to be able to see through like fakeness.
Yeah.
And you know, if someone's doing a business, genuine business, I think, like, you know, me personally, if I see someone who sells something, right? Like the other day, I bought Hill Farm, you know, meat from Hill Farm. You know, I think my wife ordered like a large amount, basically a big box full. Yeah, she bought all these kind of different, and I had
Yes,
one patty
mufti
today.
sahab,
I
bola.
had a patty today. Yeah, so it's a bit expensive than normal meat. But the thing is, you know, when you hear, like, we had brother Usman on here, and we were speaking to him, and the guy's very passionate about his animals. Like he was saying,
Oh, okay.
he rears the animals himself. He
Oh.
knows each one.
Yeah.
The butcher that he's got is a skilled butcher who knows how to deal with meat. And he was saying the biggest problem that the Asian community has is their butchers don't even know how to cut the right cuts of meat. It's like they only know 3 or 4 cuts,
Yeah.
and the only meat that they know is mutton, and you know, and like they don't know anything else. So it's like, you know, when you see people like this that have a passion of bringing up the animal, and they know exactly how the animal's been treated, and they even care about who they give it to,
Yeah.
right? You feel like, okay, you know what, I'm paying a little bit extra, but it's kind of, I feel it's worth it. At the end of the
100%.
day.
It's true. It's true. It's true. And alhamdulillah, like that sort of, I think that thing is actually growing. I think that trend is, you know.
I think so.
I think so. I think we'll see a lot more of that kind of thing. I think, you know, where, you know, I sometimes think, and I think, wow, like, how interesting is it that, that like the Western, like West, like let's say Primark owners, etc., have gone to Bangladesh and Pakistan, and they have they have set up sweatshops left, right, and center, and been like, yeah, I'm gonna make money off this, like left, right, and center kind of, and then I'm gonna bring it back here, and I'm gonna do this with it,
Sell it back to the same people.
and sell it back, yeah, to their children, and you think, wow, like how long until we get smart and we basically go back there, and it's like, actually we're not, let's get rid of the sweatshops, let's make workshops now, and we're gonna go to the West, and now you're gonna supply us, and forget the Primarks and H&Ms and etc. Now you're gonna give it to us, and we're gonna sell it on, kind of thing. Like, I find it amazing. I find it amazing that these guys have been able to economize on people who they don't speak their language. They don't, and I think, how long until we go back and we take everything that we've learned, or we take all the skills that we've been able to gather, and bring it back again over here, but in a new form, kind of thing. I think the landscape will change. I think the landscape will change quite dramatically. I think they're gonna.
I mean, look, you think about the vaccine that's been produced.
Yeah.
The 95% apparent. I don't know if the foil hat guys are going to start attacking me, but I think it's very interesting because the owners of that company are Muslim, aren't they? Turkish.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like you kind of see this as how Muslims are actually playing an integral role in a lot of new sort of unfolding events.
Hugely, hugely kind of thing. And I think, give it a couple of years and we will pretty much take our PR and our marketing as for ourselves, kind of thing. Like, you're seeing it like now with those t-shirts, keep calm, I'm Muslim. That's kind of like kind of like t-shirts that are like PRing.
Keep calm, burn your t-shirt.
Say that again, sorry.
I said, keep calm, burn your t-shirt.
Let's just start selling loads of these now before people catch on.
Some of the marketing gimmicks that sometimes I'll see my own friends or somebody wearing a t-shirt that's I know that's just the end product of just, I don't know, man, something that's gone viral on the internet, and I'm thinking, wow, just by somebody saying something, it going viral, now it's become a slogan that you have to wear on a t-shirt for it to be. It's weird, isn't it?
It's crazy. And the way they latch onto that kind of thing so quickly is alarming. like I keep saying this whole like people that I'll give you this example very quickly. Like in Bangkok, they make high end Armani, Gucci. They make the t-shirts, they make the clothing. So everybody over there is walking around in like not everybody. I mean, I'm gonna get someone on the comments now. Like, not me, bro. No, but
Not me, my brother.
Only where
That was
Hugo
the wrong
Boss.
accent here, but you get the point.
So, they're walking around in Armani and Gucci and whatnot. So how do they show that they have the value that what an Armani or Gucci, belt or T-shirt would show here? Is dental care. Like over there, dental care. If you have dental care or if you have healthcare, it shows that you're rich. Like
Really?
you're able, to pay for dental. So you've actually got people in the marketplace, non-professional people, who will basically you'll pay them to put metal in your teeth. Like these aren't skilled people. They're just people who will put what looks like braces in your teeth, and you'll walk around with these fake braces on, and actually all of a sudden you're rich because you can afford healthcare. So the braces over there is like it adds value of I've got money, I've got this and that kind of, and it's the like it's crazy how like somebody brings a slogan or says a slogan and all of a sudden it's like I've got to latch myself onto it. I've got to latch myself onto it. It's gonna put value.
You need to become a peer, bro. The kind of insights that you've got of our community, bro. You need to become like one of these religious mentors, man.
You're a woke guy.
Ali the ceramics. Ali Ceramiki. That's actually catchy, that is. Ali Ceramiki. He will marble your heart. We can sell you, bro. You know all the marketing, so we can sell you. And we can make commission. Me and Naveed. Yeah, me and Nav will make commission.
That's it, guys. It started from Free Dates podcast.
That's it, exactly. You got it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we'll wrap up there. So Jazakallah khair for coming on, man. I think a lot of these kind of topics are really topics that you'll hear from sort of like Muslim background individuals or scholars or people
Are
talking
you
about.
saying Ali doesn't have a Muslim background?
Ali has basically, you guys don't know, Ali, mashallah, he studies with us. Yeah. And alhamdulillah, he's been studying with us for a while now. And he's basically, alhamdulillah, he's beginning to see, like, for example, like the Islamic side of how things work. And, hopefully in the future, hopefully this is going to help him in the future. Like when he's that kind of, I mean, I don't think your clientele are the many Muslims. You don't really kind of.
No, I mean, no. I mean, you never know. You never know, like who the end client.
Like these kind of like rich Arabs or something.
Yeah, I mean, like there's, like anybody with money at the end of it is the client. So sometimes you'll get, you never really get to know who these clients are. Like,
okay.
I mean, I searched one, like there was one name on thing. I mean, she's a billionaire with a B. And yeah. And
billionaire B. I'm trying to think. What does that mean?
Okay,
like a real billionaire, yeah. Like a real billionaire.
Like fair. And she made the money from supermarkets and whatnot kind of thing. Well, I mean, at the end of it, you'll get Muslims with money, you'll get non-Muslims with money. Like they all sort of like fit into that same category at the end. Like
interesting. Anyway, Jazakallah khair, Ali, for coming on. Really appreciate it, man.
No, what a
and Nav, bro, do you have any last words of wisdom on that on the couch? That couch looks like in Smile to Jannah, the famous couch.
Yeah.
It looks like the famous couch, bro.
That's Zishan's couch at his house.
So yeah, Nav, you got any like last piece of advice? I have to say that Nav's gonna leave this world now, but
on marketing in general, or I'll just say financially.
Just general, just
people
like
just need to learn to distinguish between a need and a want, and sometimes they just need to reassess what they think that they might want, and just question: do you actually need this product, or you're just being fed an idea? Have I organically come up with this thought to buy this, or has it been fed to me and I don't even necessarily need it?
Really tagged
So
that.
it's a bit of a deep one, but
That's a proper deep one, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
But
nobody's
I think you wouldn't have said that.
T-shirt.
Would you have said that to your teenage self?
No, because he wouldn't have understood a word.
What
Yeah, Ajib.
course I
Interesting.
need these wheels?
Huh?
No.
That's what I leave you with.
All right, guys. So Jazakallah khair. We're gonna end it there, and inshallah we will see you guys next week, inshallah.